Donald Trump's outburst wasn't about defending Melania's honor. It was the panic of a man whose fairy tale just got torn apart live on Joe Rogan's podcast. The truth he's been desperately trying to bury isn't some old photograph. It's the rotten origin of that relationship itself. A secret that, no matter which way you trace it, leads straight back to Jeffrey Epstein's Twisted Island.
All over the Epstein list, but nothing criminal. What he didn't want people to know is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced him to Melania Trump. I heard it from somebody who I deem as credible as anybody.
And so have I.
And placed in a position where they would absolutely know this.
That claim turns the so-called fairy tale of a power couple into a dark play born from Epstein's swamp. Trump's fury isn't because his wife was mocked. It's because the curtain hiding that origin story just got ripped away. It's part of one of the sloppiest, most sweeping political cover-ups in modern history, an insult to the public's intelligence. The contempt from those on the inside comes from a deep-seated belief that power can twist the truth, even erase it from the headlines. These accusations aren't new. They've simply been buried in a deliberate, methodical way, and one chilling example of that has now been dragged into the light.
But it only got worse when Epstein made a personal visit to Vicky's boss at the time, the editor-in-chief of Vanity Fair. Epstein got the result he demanded. Maria and Annie Farmer's allegations were cut from the story that went to print in late 2002.
So as the journalist who'd uncovered these allegations and convinced these sisters to go public, what was your reaction to see that your work was not in your article?
It's vile, but it's also been the reality of America for decades. Money and power can muzzle the press, can buy the silence of the legal system. One witness even described Trump and Epstein openly bringing underage girls into a casino. That kind of brazenness can only survive when the whole network is built on one core principle of power and control. Find the already corrupted and hand them a kingdom. Jeffrey Epstein was the perfect tool, a predator bankrolled and shielded to do the dirtiest work.
I think you don't mean that literally. I think you mean that in a more metaphorical way,
the
right?
The structure of how you would pull, like if you were going to use an intelligence asset to do something evil, to do something where you can get dirt on people or compromise people or accomplish an objective.
When Epstein went silent in his cell, the cover-up turned downright absurd. Trump's Justice Department tossed out a meaningless video clip and declared the case closed.
In an interview,
That's exactly the source.
He says, and now perhaps it's time to reintroduce Leslie Wexner's D-Book, the demon that always wakes.
They told the American people to ignore what they could see with their own eyes. But sometimes the truth slips out of the mouths of the insiders themselves. Alex Acosta, the prosecutor who handed Epstein a deal beyond belief, blurted it out when backed into a corner.
Well, the DOJ released the raw, unedited videos that prove that Epstein killed himself, and they closed the case, stating that there's no client list, no clients, no trafficking ring, no blackmail. You're all crazy. Everyone's crazy. Ghislaine is in prison for nothing, apparently, and there's nothing to see here, guys. Except that the unedited video they released had a minute of film cut out of it, mysteriously.
Belongs to intelligence. Those two words explain all the protection. Epstein was an asset, CIA or Mossad, just another link in the chain of the so-called deep state. That network has no headquarters. It's a web of power where politicians, billionaires, and spies all swim in the same filthy pool.
Trial and conviction, and when pressed about the absolutely insane sweetheart house arrest sentence that he gave to Epstein, he said that, quote, Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone.
The whole operation had the markings of an Israeli intelligence campaign targeting U.S. officials, with help from factions inside America itself. In the middle of that swamp, Melania Trump became a pawn. But maybe, just maybe, she's the one who whispered in her husband's ear, pushing him to act.
A lot like Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book of Contacts. It's not just one company or one government. There's no address where they have their HQ. The deep state.
Trump's no saint. He's a player who knows how to seize the moment. Obsessed with his legacy, he turned the fight against the deep state into a political weapon. He's not naive. He's a product of the very swamp he claims he wants to drain. Announcing full cooperation when Epstein was arrested made him the enemy of powerful forces. But every promise to release the Epstein files vanished into thin air, leaving the American people feeling like fools, conned again and again. When the facade is ripped away, America doesn't see a bright future. It sees a pit of deception. The question is no longer who will save us, but is there even anything left to save? The future isn't written yet, but the pen doesn't seem to be in the people's hands.